A super chat to get things started from Joshua Barker. Should the Lions trade Stafford now and tank? Harrison, I think there's a good argument that if you're looking just at the Lions organization, long term, maybe their best move is to trade him away.
Yeah, and look, everybody gets caught up in the financials, but you want the draft capital. That is the key, and it could also apply to a Matt Ryan trade too, where, yeah, you might lose out money-wise up front, but if you can get a first-round pick for him, that's intriguing to me.
That's the pro side of it. The con side of it is that's not normally front office decision makers don't always do what's in the best interest of the long term for their organization.
They're trying to keep their jobs.
They don't want to get fired. If Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia trade Matthew Stafford, they're fired.
Yes.
Because the ownership's going to be like, you came in, you hired this head coach and said we were close.
Then
now you've traded away my veteran quarterback?
Yeah, that means that this regime failed. That would be an admission of failure if they were to trade Matt Stafford.
Maybe next offseason. Right now, probably not. From a row hit, is Fred Warner the best linebacker in the NFL? And I'll narrow to off-ball only.
It's top 5, I'd say. Bobby Wagner's in there.
Like when you, at least for me, when you go through who are some of these best off-ball linebackers in the NFL, I think you have to include Fred Warner inside that discussion.
Yeah,
I think you have to include Bobby Wagner, like you mentioned. I'm a big Levante David fan as well. I like Darius Leonard. Miles Jack's really played great this year for Jags. It's overlooked because he's playing on a bad team. He's been good.
Remember when the Cowboys drafted Jalen Smith over Miles Jack? Oh, the long term is going to be better for Jalen.
Took the guy with the worst knee.
Not great.
All right, from YT Ido Hack, Justin Fields to the 49ers, question mark.
If Jimmy G flames out this year, I will be fascinated to see what the 49ers' approach to the quarterback position is. Do you get an established starter like a Cam Newton? Do you try to trade up in the draft for a guy like Justin Fields? I can't imagine them any way they get to the number 1 pick. I just don't see that happening for San Francisco. But maybe for a guy like Fields, this will be an interesting thing to watch, Tom, over the next couple of months in San Francisco. There is no doubt about that. And if you love the Niners, go check out our 49ers channel at youtube.com/49erstv.
All right, super chat from Joseph Morrow. Who do the Dolphins sign in free agency next year?
They spent a lot of money this year.
They still have more to spend. They're not paying a quarterback.
Yeah, I'd like to see them get another weapon for Tua, assuming by next year he is the guy. I like Gesicki at tight end. I like Parker. I actually even like Preston Williams. How about a solid slot receiver that can be a reliable guy for Tua? A guy like, hey, 3rd and 6, this is a guy I'm comfortable going to. Someone like that. Maybe more defense. You could get another corner back there.
Maybe you look linebacker, but you also might be looking linebacker in the draft. It's a little tough because
early to say as
things change so drastically as the season goes along.
Remember, they spent a lot of money this year.
Look, if he actually gets to free agency, how about Allen Robinson? I know it's an outside guy, but
I mean, if he gets there, there's going to be a lot of teams calling for Allen Robinson. There's no doubt about that.
Super chat from, the comment coming in, from Shernay Ernest. Seahawks trade for Dante Fowler Jr.
What's he even been doing this year? Has he been good
He's
year?
With the Falcons. The issue is for Atlanta is they just paid him, and you don't normally end up seeing that being the case. You don't see players.
I bet Atlanta would like to have that one back.
I think I agree. I think if you're looking for a Seahawks trade of a Falcons edge rusher, I think Tack McKinley makes more sense.
End of his contract.
I think that might be a better path here for the Niners, or for the Seahawks, of making a deal for a potential edge rusher. Overall, I think Dante Fowler's been
fine.
Okay. Like he doesn't really move the needle that much. In fact, he's been maybe middling at best. But I think Tack McKinley might make more sense for both sides in the end. Everyone in the comments, I want you guys to shout out your favorite NFL player. Get your votes in right now in that comment section. As a reminder, this is our live mailbag. 2 ways to get on the show. Use hashtag NFL, or like Joseph and Nick and Webbs and Jaden did earlier today, super chat, and we'll jump you to the front of the line. From the Praying Otter, do you think my Bucks can win the NFC South?
I love you guys on YouTube. These names are just
They're
amazing.
fun, man.
Do you think the Bucks? Of course they can. It's wide open.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that Carolina, Tampa, in New Orleans would be at a 3-way tie through 5 weeks at 3-2. Here we are.
Probably not at 3-2, and probably not Carolina either.
Yeah, I still think it's down to the Saints and the Bucs there, but Tampa's right there in the mix certainly. Yeah. So we'll see what happens in that division.
That defense is good.
Yep.
That is going to keep them in almost
and
every game they play.
Outside of the Bears game, Brady's been an upgrade for sure.
Yeah, he has.
From Jameis Winston.
From Nicholas Folk, who wins the NFC least and what will their record be? I got Dallas at 6-10. Also, are the Panthers playoff contenders?
You have to be if you're 3-2 with an extra wild card spot on Carolina. As far as the NFC East / least goes, and it is the least at this point, I still think a team gets to 7. I just can't imagine all 4 teams win 6 games or less, Tom. So I'll say either Dallas or Philadelphia gets to 7. Now, who that is? Too early to say because I want to see Andy Dalton play a couple games with Dallas first to get a judgment on how I feel with this division is going.
From Eric Rivera, Tom's the best host, and should Dallas try to make a push or tank?
I think you would say tank.
I think you just see what happens over the next couple of games.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. You play to win for now. If you prove to yourself you can't win with Andy Dalton, maybe you do indirectly tank.
I think you also need to get a real evaluation of some of the supporting cast on this team.
And it's McCarthy's first year. You're not going to actively tank.
Yeah,
let's make that clear. You might tank by just being bad and your quarterback's hurt, but it won't be an intentional thing.
From Mitch Hoops, Trey Lance's best coaching fit. Interesting.
I think he needs to go somewhere where there's an established vet that he can sit and learn. Honestly, I think he should play another year of college. I know he's already declared, so that ship is sailed.
I get where you're coming from. I think you'll be better served developing in the NFL as opposed to North Dakota State,
perhaps,
where they just run the ball every play because they're the better football. They don't have to be creative.
Really, what he should have done is grad transferred as soon as that conference decided they weren't going to play, and he should have played at a Power 5 conference this year. But that's neither here nor there. A team that embraces his mobility.
Yeah, I say this: whichever team hires Brian Daboll. Or Daboll, excuse me, as their next head coach. I think he will be able to maximize the legs that Lance has and the strong arm. I think that'd be a good fit. Maybe the Falcons hire that. They give Matt Ryan 1 year and then start. I think you're right. He needs a year, but he's got a cannon for an arm. He's a great athlete.
He's big.
I think Bills OC Brian Daboll would be a really good fit for him.
I agree.
I do. Now, we do have another alert for you guys. Sports betting becoming more and more legal here in the United States. And if you live in Illinois or if you travel to the region or you got friends or family and you're often in the state, go sign up and bet legally with Bet Rivers. Chatsports.com/BetIL. Now, you can sign up and deposit from wherever. But in order to actually place a bet, you do have to be in the state of Illinois to make that happen. So head over to chatsports.com/BetIL. They'll give you a 100% deposit match if you use that link.
Up to $250 with Bet Rivers. That is also the case with Sugar House. If you're in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, go get started with Sugar House at chatsports.com/BetNJ. They'll match you up to $250. Now, to place a bet, Tom, got to actually be within state lines of New Jersey. But if you're in that area, New Jersey's not very far. You can drive over. Maybe you have a trip planned. You're heading up there. Get going with Sugar House. Chatsports.com/BetNJ is the way you can get started over there. Remember, that 100% deposit bonus, you can get matched up to $250. We'll continue with our mailbag here with a super chat, Tom, from Joseph.
Tua over Herbert if the draft re-happened. Great question. Who would you take right now, Herbert or Tua?
I think I have to take Herbert because I haven't seen Tua play and he has injuries. All the questions we had about Herbert, haven't they kind of been answered? He didn't stretch the field in college. He's throwing it deep all the time with the Chargers. He's not a very good leader. I see him pretty vocal on the sidelines and in the huddles in these games. Look, I know he hasn't won a game yet. He's going toe-to-toe with Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. He's been awesome, and I think he's actually in the mix with Joe Burrow for Rookie of the Year at this point if he starts the rest of the games.
I went back and looked at where I had these quarterbacks rated. I had Burrow number 1 or number 2 overall. Tua was my number 5, and Herbert was number 15, which I think when it's all said and done, is actually going to be higher than what most people had on him.
Yeah.
I hated that Oregon offense.
Yeah,
it sucked.
If anything, it's shown that Oregon did not utilize him properly.
So I think you would make a very strong argument to go Herbert over Tua. I think the Dolphins would still probably take Tua, though.
Probably.
From Dan the Man, Zach Ertz to the Patriots for a 3rd-round pick. And are the Patriots selling or buying?
Oh, man. Zach Ertz, the Pats for a 3rd. Are the Patriots? They're not selling. Will they buy? Maybe, maybe not. I think they're more of a stand pat, see how far Cam Newton takes them this year, right? And then reevaluate your team in the offseason. Zach Ertz for a 3rd. I think the Patriots would jump on that. I don't think Philadelphia is such in let's just get rid of Ertz for a 3rd. At 2nd, maybe. 3rd, I'm not there yet.
I think the Eagles, because they've invested so much, they're kind of almost pigeonholed into being, hey, we're going to be a team that still is committed to having success. We're going to try and win.
And
trading away Ertz right now with Goddard out doesn't help you at the current moment. So who is the best team in the NFL? If you check out our power rankings, we give our opinions as voted on by the Chat Sports staff every single week here. We going Seahawks together, Harrison?
Yeah.
I didn't look at yours this
I don't
morning.
think there's a clear-cut one. I had the Seahawks won this week. I still think when the Chiefs are locked in, they're the team to beat in the NFL. And they clearly overlooked a game Raiders team this past week. I'll go Seahawks for now, but I don't think there's a clear-cut number one at this point.
As a reminder, we are live Monday and Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's 3 p.m. Pacific for you West Coast, Best Coast folks out there. We also put out videos all the time, and sometimes we're live more often when crazy stuff happens, like the trade deadline, for example.
Yes.
We'll be live for that as well. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. Speaking of trades here from Sully, should New England get a great receiver like A.J. Green or Julio or Michael Thomas at the trade deadline?
How about trading low for A.J. Green? Trade low, see if a fresh start helps elevate his game.
So one of these things is not like the other. And
Michael Thomas isn't getting traded.
Yeah,
that's number one.
Also, A.J. Green's not a great receiver anymore.
But I do like the idea of a team
too.
like the Patriots trading low for him. Like a 4th for A.J. Green. He's not fitting with Joe Burrow, clearly.
I will die on this hill, and I've never actually gone back and watched the All-22 to confirm it, but I swear when they had Chad Ochocinco in the Super Bowl, Brady missed him for a touchdown late in the game. Maybe I'll go back and look at it tonight because it just reminded me of it. So they've had some success, I'll argue, with former Bengals receivers in the past. From a real Cowboys fan, you think Andy Dalton could pull a Ryan Tannehill?
This is a weird one because, I think Dalton was much better than Tannehill was when Tannehill was in Miami, right? I think his track record in Cincinnati was more impressive than Tannehill's in Miami. Are you saying could he revitalize his career potentially?
Sure.
It's possible because the arsenal is nice, right? This is definitely the best receiving core he's played with. That being said, the O-line's not great. It's a new system. I don't know if we'll ever see a thing that we've seen with Tannehill where he went from he's not even a league average quarterback to the last 20 games or whatever now. He's a borderline MVP quarterback if you look at Tannehill's numbers. I don't think we're going to see that type of jump with Andy Dalton.
I do want to make note that those early Bengals teams
were solid.
They were actually really good. The offensive line was one of the best in the NFL. And at the time, they had a prime and healthy A.J. Green. In their primes, Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu. Healthy Tyler Eifert.
Jeremy Hill was a solid back.
Jermaine Gresham was good. Gio Bernard was still hanging around there. So I actually think that those prime Bengals teams were underrated. They just sucked in the postseason. And honestly, part of that ended up being Andy Dalton's fault. So possible, I just think it's very likely.
If you have any more questions, you can tweet at us at HGramNFL is where you can find my Twitter. You can find Tom at WhatGoingDowney.